Hey everyone, welcome back to another session of GoHire Talks. We've got Jordann Savage, and I think there's going to be a lot of people interested in hearing about Jordann's experience in HR, where she came from, and some of the tools and things we've been talking about, AI and the green room, and lots of fun stuff ahead. Jordann, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me. I'm Jordann Savage. I am the Chief HR Officer of a promotional products company called Buffalo Specialties, and we're headquartered in Houston. But before all of this, I actually started out in finance and I learned how to code. And my first role ever outside of school, and that's what I actually got my degree in, was finance, was data analytics analyst. So with no prior experience coding, I got hired to hang out with Home Depot, and I had wonderful leaders that taught me how to solve problems using data. And that kind of set the foundation for my finance role. I wanted to be closer to the stores, closer to people versus at computer. I took on a more traditional finance role as a financial analyst supporting our stores. And when I took inventory on what made me excited about the role, when I thought about what's coming next, it was hanging out with people and helping them understand what role was right for them next, helping our new analysts get up to speed, feel connected to the company, to the team. And I did something super courageous and did a kind of roadshow of myself. I knew that it had something to do with HR, whatever role was going to be next. I knew it had to be surrounded by people and serving people. That's what filled my cup. I roared towards that. I ended up meeting the talent management team at Home Depot. Felt like I found my people. They had an opening. And there I supported the stores. And in that role specifically, I helped leaders understand how to develop their people in an intentional and meaningful way that really made people feel invested in. Home Depot has such a wonderful culture of people first and servant leadership. And I felt that in talent management. I was pushing that forward. So after that, I went from talent management to work my way up to be the HR generalist on the HR for HR team. So just like every organization needs an HR needs HR. And I left Home Depot in the role of a strategic business partner. And basically, what that means is I was helping out our executive team with HR initiatives that move the business forward. And I was so grateful for that experience. And I got to bring my data, I got to bring my understanding of the business in every role I've been in since. So after that, I got an opportunity to be at Buffalo Specialties, where I'm their first ever HR. And they've been around for 40 years. So right now, it is process building, it is understanding how the business works. And I know we'll probably get into that later. That's an overview of all of the hats I've worn and all of the people I've met along the way. But if you know me, you won't be surprised by this, but I have a guiding light. It's my North Star of like how, like, I want to be in a role that serves people in a way that they feel connected to something bigger than themselves. And I keep going to roles that point me and make me feel that way.
Let me ask you about that. As a financial analyst at Home Depot, then of course you were talking with the stores, doing your presentations about the analytics and whatnot too. I was a financial analyst back in the day as well.
Cheers.
Yeah, but I work for a different company. I worked for the Aspen Skiing Company, Aspen, Colorado.
That's fun.
Do you remember any kind of conversations that you had with people in HR? One or two, maybe a leader that persuaded you to take that next step?
That's a great question. It wasn't so much the conversation as it was honestly the feeling. I felt very connected to the people in HR in a deeper way than I have on any team I've been on. And when I feel that way, that means that I feel aligned. If I was to point to a moment though, it was actually during the interview process for the talent management role. The interview process felt fun, dare I say fun, but it felt like a conversation where I was excited to talk to them and show them how I can bring data to the talent management organization and how deeply I care about people and the company and the culture. So I had a conversation where it felt like we were aligned, and I hadn't felt that way before to that extent. So that's the moment I would point
Yeah, it
to.
sounds like you're more of a people person than an analytics.
I am
Both.
both.
Yeah.
I would consider myself both. It's like I can
Yeah.
get in spreadsheets for sure.
Yeah. So let me ask you about that. So we talked about it in the green room, was some of the analytics that you were able to bring to HR and in recruiting and talent management, where now it's all about data, about analytics, but where do people, like for the audience, where do they start? Even if they are a combo right brain, left brain, where
Totally.
can they start in the HR stuff? Because there's so many tools and the data is so everywhere. How can they work with maybe their leader and say, I think this is a process broken or something doesn't seem right? Like, how would you come about, like if you saw someone who's early in their career, your past self, how might you attack that?
Great question. So I think I'm going to answer it simply. I think we overthink the solutions that we use data for. I want to give you an example. In the talent management role, I was fortunate enough to support the talent planning preparation process for our leaders. So every leader met with their team and they talked about talent, just a review of the talent. Not to say too much about the meetings, but general, hey, what's our succession plan, who's next, and who we're developing. And the focus started shifting a few years ago to diversity. And a lot of leaders I heard a lot of conversations in those meetings. I was lucky enough to attend, so I did some of the reporting and preparation process. There was hey, how do we know if we're doing better in diversity, if we have an equal representation of diversity that reflects the community we serve? Like, how do we know? And I was like, wait a second, you can know. So I took that question that I kept hearing over and over again, and I went to our DE&I team and I said, hey, is it okay if I borrow some diversity data that shows year over year, quarter over quarter, how is this team made up? And who are the leaders developing intentionally to meet their diversity goals? And what I kept hearing in these talent planning meetings was, we got to get better at diversity. We have to figure out a way to make this visible, to hold ourselves accountable. But what I figured out was that there was nothing that they were looking at or seeing. So with my friends in DE, and I created a scorecard of, hey, from what I've been hearing and seeing, we want our ethnic communities to reflect X percentage in our leadership for your team. This is how you're doing year over year. What I also think is important is what's going to make the conversation of talent planning and talent management meaningful and actionable. So my report, I remember, it also included drivers for that team. So I looked at who was feeding into that team. What was their ethnicity? What was their gender? All the things. What was their job before this? Are we having people come from different industries? All of those things to point out the drivers of diversity for the team. So not only was I saying year over year, this is how you're performing, and this is what is driving that. So for leaders to be able to come to their teams and say, hey guys, we're doing fine in this, but here's what we could do better, and this is what we're going to do. And I know that we're going to do this, and I'm gonna hold you accountable to these metrics. And we're gonna talk about the same metrics next time. It gets everyone on the same page. And I think the point of that story was that I kept hearing a problem over and over again that was deeply important to the organization and our leaders. And I wanted to help solve it.
Yep. Great, great.
And the results were pretty epic. And I think that report is still used in some version today. But it was the first time where we really got a taste of HR can have analytics too. It's actually just another way of holding people accountable and quickly.
How did you, and it's finding that partnership with a team that was out of your normal realm. Just going,
Yeah.
and obviously you're a very extroverted person, but I imagine you could, with analytics, you can go introverted as well. But so it
Yeah,
just takes going out of your boundaries a little bit to just say, is there another
totally.
way to do this? Yeah.
Yeah, and like, how would you think about this? And getting a lot of different perspectives on the data, making sure that people are understanding and like making sure that the report is actionable is important. So just I think what I would say, short answer, is I deeply understood the problem. And
Mm-hmm.
I've always been one to gain a ton of different perspectives because I think that makes our results richer. And with the data portion, data is accessible, man, anywhere and everywhere. I think like one thing you could do if you're at a smaller company or you don't like quite know the ropes yet, maybe you're new, meet with your IT team, meet with your leader. Just get curious. Start asking those questions and people will follow. And it's something that is such an enabler for us. It's a time saver. It holds us accountable. It gets us on the same page. It's a win. So I would just say be curious, start having conversations and play with your data. Go in Excel,
Yep.
plug in numbers, understand what moves this number here, what in that. Just play around with it. Spend some time. That's right.
Yeah. All right. That's great. And I'm hoping a lot of HR practitioners and professionals really,
Yeah.
gravitate to this, especially coming from somebody who's come from a totally different part of the
Yeah.
business.
I think that the last thing I'll say on that, and I'll wrap it up with a bow, is whatever the answer is to how do I support my leaders and associates in the best way possible, the answer for me was let's get some reporting in here that's easily automated and where people can say, oh, I see the problem really
Got
quickly.
it.
Something that
Yep.
drives a good talent planning conversation.
All right. So that's going to lead into the next question. Tell us what you're
Yes.
doing now. And as you mentioned in the green room, what are you doing in your HR role as the first HR practitioner, leader, and your day to day?
Man, my day to day looks different every day. But I think what's important for everyone to know is that my approach to HR is that I have to understand the business first, and how our organization operates, like how we make money, what partners we use, what are the levers that we pull, like all of those things. What is success to Buffalo
Mm-hmm.
Specialty? I actually haven't done a lot of HR. I have been spending my time as a salesperson. I wanted to roll up my sleeves and understand the organization that makes our company run. And how I did that was I my title is sales for everyone internal. And so number one, like right now, what I'm doing, and I don't know if it's relevant. I could talk about sales all day, but right now in the promotional products industry, it's super interesting. Like 80% of promotional products companies are mom and pop in the
Mm-hmm.
US. So also a lot of these companies are run by the founders that started these companies 40, 50 years ago. And there are a lot of like little tweaks that we can make and just processes that we can create to make our employees' lives easier and just to create right these foundations that are important. So as a salesperson, what I can say is as HR, when I step into this HR role, I firsthand understand what the sales team needs to run efficiently and be successful. I have been working on something, but it's not, I've been working on sales training. And I think that's a given, right? Like for new associates everywhere, you need some training. What's the company? What industry are we a part of? Help people feel connected from day one,
Yep.
activate them, make them
Yep.
champions of the company. But I wouldn't be comfortable doing training right now because I'm not at a point where I can say I'm a business partner. For me, I'm learning the business. And so it's been so much fun and super challenging because I'm more of a big picture, right? And our sales team, it has so much tribal knowledge that I firsthand have gone into this role and go. And I'm like, but how do I price something? That there is no central location right now for our documents. So that's where we're at as a company. After a growth phase, we don't have time to we don't have time to document. So I came in right at the right time. But I'm gonna understand the business first before I can help anyone with their jobs. So I gotta understand their jobs first.
All right, that's great. Let me ask you, we were talking a little about AI, and you told me you were using it several times today, and this is end of March 2025. And I have to say this, anything about AI, we have to document the date because it's moving so quickly and the tools change constantly. But what are you using AI for in different areas of your job? And from say from also an HR side, compliance and job descriptions and all those things too. Give me a like a lead list of even what did you do yesterday, if you think through it.
Yesterday, I started out my day doing cold calls, or I call them calls, but basically we have a list of prospects, right? So this is for my sales hat. So in a sales capacity, I use AI to write my outreach emails, and I make sure that it's personal. And like I can even give you an example. I can bring one up. I'll literally go on ChatGPT and say, write an outreach email. First of all, I'm a salesperson at Buffalo Specialties. I want to reach out cold to Jonathan. Jonathan is at this company. I think that we can help him by giving him some branded merchandise that connects with his audience, recruiters. What kinds of products would excite Jonathan? And write an outreach email for me to post on LinkedIn or to message them on LinkedIn. And let me tell you, I sent 50 messages that like felt really thoughtful and meaningful and tailored in an hour. And just by using that same prompt over and over again, ChatGPT, copy paste, ChatGPT, copy paste. And it's become my process every morning. So that's been it's a big win from a time saving perspective. And I'm hoping that I can bring that to the sales team. And that brings me to my next point. So in the afternoon, what I did was I'm starting to work on sales training, so onboarding. How I use AI there is as a foundation. I use AI to understand what topics are the most important topics for salespeople to know right off the bat when they're starting on a sales team, period. And ChatGPT will get some out, but it's a list of topics that might be the wrong industry, right? So you do have to audit those results. But for me and like how my brain works, it gives me the structure and starting point of what does my sales training template need to look like? And go from there. Because what I think I know myself so well and what I struggle with is that first initial like creation of the framework. Once I have it, I can go. So I use ChatGPT for that as well. It's my
And
starting point.
are you using a free account or are you using a paid account?
I'm using a free account.
Perfect. And and I think the most important thing for anyone to realize in HR or anyone in a business, if you're going to use a free account, which everyone should be, is if you work behind a desk, you should have a tab for your chat GPT as far as I'm concerned. And but you can't put proprietary data into it because it trains the model. So you can't take your sales report, you can't take candidate resumes, you can't take performance reviews, any PII data. You can't put that into a free account. You could, like when you're doing sales training, you're just not putting
it's
your
generic
company data in it.
That's right. It's generic. And yeah, it saved me so much time just understanding what does a person need to be successful in 30 days, in the first 30 days, first 60 days, first 90 days. And I take it and run. And it's been like my results are pretty epic, I would say. I piloted like a piece of sales training on a new salesperson. And man, they got up to speed on a process so quickly that, yeah, it's looking pretty good. But for me, it's a time saver, man. It is an enabler. It makes me think differently and just gives me the tools I need to like come up with the best product and quickly.
All right, so let me ask you this, because I spoke at a HR conference 2 weeks ago, and a lot of HR generalists were there, business partners, and many were journey in using ChatGPT. Now, you come from an analytical mind. For someone who may not be analytical, what would be your, say they just opened an account and or they want to open an account and they just want to try. What might be, if you were sitting next to your friend, maybe you were having a coffee with somebody else, you were an intern for HR. How would you suggest that they go about? They're staring at the login screen, and of course they probably got there for some reason, but how would you discuss, maybe train or give them suggestions on why they're there and what they should do with it?
Totally. Oh my gosh, that's such a great question. Let's like simplify the hell out of this, and excuse me, because I think that what sometimes HR partners do, and me included, is that we think we don't have the capacity to go there, to use AI. It's scary, right? We don't know a lot about it. But so to answer your question, how I would train someone is just say, hey, ask it a question, any question that pops in your brain. And I'm looking at it right now. So move your mouse, go to the like open new chat, click it, a window will appear, and ask what the weather is like in wherever you are right now.
Yep.
And start to have a conversation with it, like you're their friend, but like an acquaintance, right? So you have to give it context in order for it to build up that connection to you.
Let me jump in there.
Go.
Is I think you nailed it like perfectly, and I'm super excited for everyone who's listening who's on the edge about how to use this stuff in HR.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Because it's really just open it up and start playing with it. And then you said something that's really important, is the context. It gets smarter because it knows you. It knows what you're trying to do. And so there's a tool.
And what's important to you.
Yeah, and even about the type of role you're trying to do. Like, you're doing a sales role, you're also doing HR. So you need to just tell it. It's like your friend that you're sitting down with coffee. You're having a great conversation, but you want to give them context about your role. And when you give them context, or maybe an advisor, maybe a mentor, just go to a mentor and say, because they're like, I can just spit out a bunch of generic crap and this conversation's going nowhere. So you would go to your mentor and say, okay, I have a question about this. This is the context of it, about the weather in South Carolina this time of the year, or I'm doing travel plans, or I need a sales plan or onboarding for a company with 10 people. It's a new salesperson. We're not trying to do a new business. We're trying to do, so the more specific you are, the better the results. And that's really the training. If you can get over that step, you're going to become an expert quickly.
Yeah, it really is just like getting to know a friend or like an advisor. Like they're not going to be touchy-feely with you. Actually, sometimes it is because I'm very touchy-feely, so it will respond back to me in that way, which is cute. But I think what's really cool is can we go back to the weather example?
Yeah.
So when I asked it, I'm typing in there right now, what's the weather like today in Atlanta, Georgia? It'll spit out, the weather is this. Okay, so what if I then said, typing, I want to know because I have a trip planned to go to this city in Georgia to visit a friend in an hour. And I'm nervous because I have to drive and it looks like it's sunny, but it also looks cloudy. Is there any chance of rain? It'll come back to me with a more tailored and just a better answer based on the situation that you just presented to it. It's not what's the weather. It is, I have a situation and why I care about it is. And this is what I'm worried about.
How you can use the tool, even like when you're doing your HR work right now.
Yeah.
Say your first conversation with ChatGPT about an HR project or something you're trying to solve.
First, like I'll do it with you guys right now. This is your first time. So I'm going to open up Google Chrome. So that's what I use. And I'm going to go to chatgpt.com. It's pulling up. And on the left-hand side, you're going to see a pin with a square. And it's going to say new chat when you hover over it. Click it. And we're going to ask it a question. And the question is, what is the weather in whatever location you're in? So for me, what's the weather right now in Atlanta, Georgia? And I'm going to ask it right now. Ask it any question.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see what the response is. So cool. It gave me the weather really quickly. Okay. So let me now tell it what I'm really trying to figure out and what I really want to know. And that is, and I'm typing this right now in the chat to my smart friend advisor. I am nervous that I'm going to hit traffic because in Atlanta, when it rains, everyone goes really slow. And I have a meeting about an hour away. And so what I really want to know, and I'm literally typing this train of thought, is what is the weather going to be like at 1 p.m. today in the city that I'm going to? And what's traffic going to be like too? Paint the picture for me. And all of this is just, I spit it out directly. What is coming out of my mouth is going into the chat. And I didn't type it because it was talking. I can't do two things at once. But basically what I just told it is my situation and my context and what's really important to me. And that's how you train ChatGPT. And what it's going to come back with is a recommendation and also a, hey, this is what you asked for. And here are the pieces of the puzzle that you're trying to get. So I think that let's start there with the weather.
So let's take it the next step. Say someone asked or you knew one of the things you've got to get done next week, and it's Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
And you've got a little bit of time before your next meeting or someone's coming in, and that you've got to do a revamp on your employee manual.
Right.
So how would you start that? Now I'll preface this again. Do not put your employee manual in ChatGPT on a free case, right? Do not do that. But you can start understanding about, what changes are in there. So maybe that's a bad example, because I definitely recommend you talk to IT and get a paid $20 account. Then you can actually put your employee manual in. But maybe that's not a great example, but another one.
Maybe go with policy. Policy that the company has. Let's call it work from home. I want to revamp our work from home policy. I would ask ChatGPT, like I'm typing right now, let's pretend. Sometimes I say hi if I'm feeling nice. So I'll say hi. I want to revamp our work from home policy because I want to make sure that we as a company are in compliance. I also want to make sure that we are in compliance with all of these state laws and local policies that have come up since this has last been updated. But what I really want, and this is me typing, is for everyone to read this policy and quickly understand and easily digest what is our work from home policy. I want it to be simple. I want it to be short, but I want it to make sense in terms of if any employee, my hourly associates, my sales team, whoever reads it, they will understand the first time.
Perfect. I think so. Having done a ton of this stuff myself and talked to a whole bunch of people who are learning this, you built context. You said, I want this, I want that, I want this. Now you can start, and this again for the training, you can start by not adding any of that stuff and see what you get. And you didn't even say it's in Atlanta or for the office in Houston. So people were asking me about this on a panel. I said, another way to think about this is you have a brand new employee And you're going to teach that employee, and you're saying to the employee, look, there's probably a whole bunch of other company employee policies out there and about work from home. We've got ours, but I need to rebuild it or rewrite it, bring it up to speed, make sure it's compliant. And we've got sales teams, we've got these other ones, but I want to be engaging and quick and simple.
Boom.
And then come see what it comes back with. It's not going to be perfect
Yeah.
the first time, but you iterate. And if you took an HR intern straight out of college and said, write a policy, they would be like, whoa, I'm just going to copy somebody's and change our name. And you're like, no, that's okay. That's a good start. Guess how most job descriptions are written? Go to Indeed, copy, and change your name, right? That's what we do. Yeah, I mean, I built one of the first job boards. That's how this stuff works, right?
Yep.
We copy that's already been done, right? But guess what? Now we have a tool called ChatGPT or these large language models that has everyone's stuff. So you've got lots of it. But when you have everyone's stuff, it's super generic.
Super generic.
Yeah, everything's squashed into one big generic thing. So then you have to customize it for yourself. So that's where the context comes in. That's how you can train it. But going back to the model of a brand new HR intern who just came out of school, it's June 2nd, first day at the job, and you say, make a work from home policy. They're going to go, okay, great. Here's step 1. So then you have to give them step 2, and then step 3, step 4. Hopefully most of your employees, you don't need to give to step 4, but when you're training them very new, you do.
Yeah.
But they're never going to forget after that.
Yeah, that's right. And if I could offer another way of thinking about it, I often go to step 4. And let me tell you what my step 2 is if it shoots back with some with an updated policy. If I don't like how something is worded from a sentence to a section, I can ask it, please revise this section. I want to make it more personable. The voice needs to be more professional and the tone needs to be neutral because it is a policy. Revise it, boom. I go back and forth with ChatGPT a lot, especially when I want to be authentic, which is most of the time. It can change your voice and your tone of whatever you're trying to say, but I think you make a great point. It's a starting point and the context, they can't get all of it. So it is really important for you to partner with your peers, partner with people internally and say, hey, this is what I came back with. What am I missing here? And man, that's just so wonderful. That's my process.
Yep. Another thing you can't do, because you brought this straight up, and this is getting way more advanced than most people have gotten to so far. But just, Jordann, just as you said, you bring it to your peers. You can even ask ChatGPT to review itself and the answer and say, what could I have done better to give you the instructions in the first place?
Yes.
It builds that context for you.
Okay, wait. Whoa, crazy.
It's the next, like, you're a coach. You're teaching an Olympic athlete, right? They go and do the work, and then they come back to you and say, what can I do better? You have to sprint faster. You have to do this. They already know.
They already know because
it knows.
You told them last week that
and it might come back and say, I can do this better if you give me context about your business. I can do better if I understand if you're a small business or a large business.
Sometimes it asks you guiding questions, which is super helpful. I didn't know that you could prompt it though to ask you guiding questions. When I get off this call, I'm gonna play with it.
Yes. So I think this is that step where once you get your feet wet, the next thing you can do is you can essentially, because we're creating a bunch of agentic AI tools now, which is you can ask it, say you have multiple steps that you want to do, you can ask it to stop, to ask you if there's any clarification questions that it needs so that it can produce a better result, and then stop before it goes to the next step and ask any questions it has, or let me review before we go to the next step. So you can create these really complex solutions. Hey, okay, let's talk about the policy again. Okay, here's my question about the policy. Great, it creates it, and then you iterate through it. And then you say, will it fit with the tone of the rest of our policies?
Yeah, and it will. I have done that before. Absolutely.
Yep. And the next step, and you'll get there at some point, is you can actually send an email to everyone in the entire company.
I think it's just it's super crazy. Like, it still blows my mind, like how capable this thing is and how much time it saves, like, me every single day.
Yep.
Like, I love when you talked about like the step, like asking it for clarification or asking it to stop after you have asked you one thing out of the many things that like you're gonna ask it to do, like a multi-step problem. I think about like a training plan for new, and that's top of mind right now. Like, first I would ask ChatGPT, I would give it a ton of context on, I'm the first ever HR. We have never had a training plan before. This needs to be simple. This needs to be like airtight, and this needs to be so digestible that anyone could be a salesperson at Buffalo Specialties.
And here's the other thing. Tell it you want it to be at an 8th grade reading level.
Oh, that's so, man, I'm so excited.
Yeah, because it's like that. You don't want to use these college words. This isn't McKinsey creating a training plan. This is people pick and pack off the shelf for your business. Now, if you're McKinsey, yes, you're saying give the best top 50 words that Deloitte would use in a presentation on my presentation.
No,
right?
Oh my God, no, man.
No business speak.
God, man, it's just, man, the impact that this has on my job and the results I produce is tenfold. I can't say it enough. Like, there's no right way to use it. There's a legalities, yes, but you are, I think, like, at the end of the day, as HR, our goal, our purpose is to serve our associates and push the organization forward in the direction that feels right, aligned with values, aligned with our goals. And how I strongly believe we do that is by taking away a lot of the work that is manual for associates, like the workload. You've probably heard your associates talk about it. Just that in itself, ChatGPT automates a lot of processes. And for some reason, a lot of HR people are nervous to just start there.
Yep. Yeah, and it's not really hard. It's just having a guiding principle. And the other thing you had mentioned, even about like the context of it, if you, and again, if you're gonna do, this is my one recommendation I probably should put as my disclaimer in everything I talk about ChatGPT, is if you are just starting off and you don't have a company policy about large language models, which most companies don't, and in HR, since you help with policies, why don't you reach out to IT team, someone in the IT team, bring the olive branch over and say, look, I'm using it. I don't even know if I'm using it right, because you don't have to. No one, what we did 3 weeks ago in ChatGPT is completely what we're doing now. So you don't have to be right. You just have to be inquisitive. And if you go to somebody in your IT team and say, I don't know what to do. I've heard that we have to do this correct. So if I don't know what to do, my guess is somebody in the company needs to do, or we should have a policy about it. And it maybe not a policy, maybe a guidelines. And the biggest one is don't put proprietary data on a free account. It's super simple, but which models might work? What is the company already paying for? What these things, and it could be, you could just be updating it every 3 months, but you partner with somebody in your IT team that you're going to help them because they're going to get compliant, and the CIO is not going to yell at them for not, like, why is everyone putting proprietary data out there?
Lose here. You really can't. I think that I'm always an advocate of, if I am learning something, let's like bring this person in and let's all go together. It's an enabler and it gets everyone on the same page. And when you think about the importance of collaborating with people that are cross-functional to you, you should do that anyway. But there's just so much like magic and culture and like better results that comes from going to different teams, getting their opinion, and also just making it part of the conversation.
Yeah, I think you really hit on something that that, we'll close it up because I know I'm going to have you back too, is the partnership. If there's somebody on your team that great on ChatGPT, like you see them around the water cooler, or if you're remote and they're in marketing and you're in HR, you hear them talking, just sideline that they talked about it, or they're using it on their phone, even talking to it, because I can do that now too, is ask them if they will help you build a policy. That's the first thing. They can teach you how to use it, and you can bring in someone from IT. They could show you the context, and then you think of your persona of your employees. So you've got manufacturing, you've got shipping, you've got logistics people, you have accounting, you've got sales, you've got leadership, all in different even like cultures and whatnot. But then you just customize the policy to that reading level, to that, that group. But if somebody in your company's already been there for a while and they like this stuff, then just partner with them. They'll bring you on. And just like Jordann and I, we had no idea we were going to talk about any of this stuff. And here we are, like building out how do you use ChatGPT in AI and start.
To start, man. If anything, it's a way to connect. It's a way to, and I hate to like use like a buzzword, but like embrace differences. To get other people's perspective is pretty epic. It only builds on yours and it makes someone else feel included. And there's this synergy and like kind of an unspoken culture driver there, that not only are you furthering optimizing whatever process you're working on and making it better, taking a partner, it will not only make your work better, but build this culture of collaboration and teamwork.
Yeah.
So it really, like that I'm touchy-feely, right? So that makes me excited.
Yeah.
Like we don't have to do it alone. Like we can do it together, and it's better together.
Absolutely. And like this whole thing, I got tons of inspiration. I'm a total geek on this stuff, but I got inspiration on just how you can use it, from moving from HR and analytics into building a sales plan and asking about weather. I hadn't even thought about that. I just figured I'm old, so I'm set in my ways, but that doesn't mean I can't learn something new. In fact, I do all the time, but yeah.
Yeah. Let's just make it simple, man. I think we overcomplicate it. Yeah. Like it's doable. I'm so excited to see like how and when HR like takes it by the horns, right? Or the reins.
The reins.
Reins.
If you're in Texas, it could be the horns.
Horns, right? I'm from Texas, and actually Buffalo Specialties is headquartered there. So like horns and reins. I think my question for you, and where I want to end, really, it's okay with you, is what is that like roadblock that is stopping HR from not even embracing, opening up ChatGPT? What would you say that block is?
I go back to even why I even do the podcast, which is having curiosity, but knowing it's out there. Because if the day in the role of someone in HR is like a fire hydrant of nonstop activity, and so you don't get that peace of mind. Like I'm privileged enough that I run a company that most of my job is strategic work. In HR, it's not. Everyone would love for it to be strategic. So you thinking that you're going to take 15 minutes to go learn this thing and then keep doing it every day for 15, 20 minutes and then an hour, you're like, no, I got people out my door yelling at me about payroll. Completely get it.
Yeah.
But then when you don't get something done, or you're just inquisitive like this policy, it's just that one little thing that will spark. And that's where just ChatGPT, open it up and ask the question. And if you have a partner, that it's super easy. It just works. It's just that first step, and having that inquisitive question like, what about the weather? Or how do I do these things on my calendar today? Or what should I prioritize? Or it goes anywhere. And it's your personal assistant is probably what we should be calling these things.
Yeah. Not
ChatGPT, because no one even understands. Very few people even know what GPT stands for. Why talk about it?
What does it stand for?
I don't even know. It's generative something technology. but it's just generative. And so maybe that's the easiest thing for people to know is that it can help you generate a response.
It doesn't respond, it generates a response.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yep. So it's using other info to help generate a response.
It's a starting point.
Yep. Yep. All right. So thank you so much. We'll jump into, I know we'll have you back and hopefully we'll get some good feedback from people on this. And I know there's a lot of people out there doing kind of training and stuff about ChatGPT. Maybe I was actually just thinking about this too, is I might just do like office hours, like once a week for an hour and just jump into ChatGPT, anything HR or whatever.
Yeah. And what if people come with like hey, I used it this time and it was good or it was bad? Like,
how do I make this one better?
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. All right. We'll figure it out. Like maybe even workshop them through so people can get to the start. I don't want somebody who's been using ChatGPT for 6 months on the same call as somebody who's open up the browser. That's we want to start there. Yeah. Ideas for the future, Jordann.
Man, I'm so excited. I can't wait to see like where our paths cross next. You're just you're too much fun to talk to. Thanks for geeking out with me about ChatGPT and the prompts we can use it for. I hope people are as nerdy as us, or else this might not land. But
it's all just being inquisitive.
Yeah.
And I think, back to one of your other points. Where's this all going to land in HR? If you could take out the mundane tasks, guess what's left? The human part of HR, not the mundane tasks and the policy manuals.
Yeah. Isn't that why we all started in HR? It's because we wanted to serve. We wanted to support humans.
Yeah.
So
and yet we're relegated to being fighting fires.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right. That's a wrap for the day. But thank you again, Jordann. And Jordann, how does anyone find you if they're interested in connecting?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. Search Jordann Savage and it'll pop up with my face on it. And check out our company, Buffalo Specialties. We can put your logo on anything. And we've been the best in the industry for the last 38 years. We've seen it all. So check us out.
All right. Thanks, Jordann. Have a great day. Okay, bye-bye.